Check, check. How about that? How about some volume right there? We have any volume? I see a thumbs up, so we're good there. Hey, well, let's start over then. Chris Pena live with Rockwall County Game Day. That's what happens with these live shows. No matter how much you sound check and how much you try to get ready, I show up around 3:30, and it takes me about 40 minutes to set up, and then I just sound check and I do testing and testing, and then of course here you go. We come live and it's all messed up. Okay, good show. Let me start over here. Kevin Wingfield on the end there. Trey Slinker. Trey, first show with us. Appreciate you coming on.
Yeah,
and
looking forward to it.
Looking forward to talking some football with you. And then our man James Branch. Gentlemen, appreciate you joining us tonight. We are again live at Rockwall Ford. This segment's brought to you by Acre Property Team and Angel Cleveland Real Estate. Appreciate everything Angel does for us and all the support that she gives. Obviously, if you are looking for some real estate advice, even if you're not buying or you're not looking to do anything at the moment, it's always good to reach out to Angel and find out what's going on in the market. And obviously, she supports our effort to highlight kids and coaches in the community. So, we ask that if you're in need of some advice, please reach out to Angel Cleveland and Acre Property Team. Okay, so tonight we'll start off a little college NFL talk, and then we're going to jump into little Heath football, talk about their game against Tyler Legacy, and then of course Rockwall had a big game at home against Royce City, which was a fantastic football game. So we'll talk about that with them. First, I want to give a shout out to the Rockwall tennis team. Rockwall is your by-district champions. They win district a day ago. Also, the water polo team. So the girls both advanced their by-district champions, and I believe the boys for Heath got knocked out in that first round. It's a big deal because this is the first year for water polo to be a UIL sport. So they get their first playoff win in school history as their first attempt in the UIL. So congratulations to them. I believe I'm trying to keep up with the Rockwall Sports Marketing Department. They do a good job, especially when they're away. Typically, by-district games are very close, right? You're playing. We'll see Wiley or Garland or somewhere really close, but they had to go like 3 hours away. So it was not easy to get to, and so we were relying on people to send back information. But a good showing by the girls water polo team, and congratulations to the guys for making it year one to that far. And I believe that they will go again on Saturday. Same deal. It's going to be a distance away for the area championship. So we'll wish them all the luck. I went to see some volleyball last night. So we've been talking about getting out to some volleyball games and been doing my best to get out there. Went to see Heath visit Royce City last night. It was their pink out night, and they were doing breast cancer awareness. It was a good showing from all the fans, and it was a fun match to be a part of. And it didn't go Royce City's way, although, as I was talking before the show, it was highly contested. Both teams were playing at a high level, and obviously this late in the season, with them only having a couple more weeks to go, every game counts now. And, and with Royce City sitting right on the line of that fourth playoff spot, you could tell that they were playing for something this late in the season. They still have some work to do, but they still have an opportunity to get in there for that fourth spot. On Heath's side, I talked to Coach Younger, and she was just talking about how good Royce City was and what a good win that was for them. She was very excited. She was exhausted, I think, emotionally. She puts a lot into those games. She's in it like most coaches are, but she's one of those ones that afterwards she's ready for a nap or something because she's out there coaching for sure. So we as playoffs and stuff like that start to approach, we're going to really focus and get those girls and hopefully have tennis on and some water polo students and coaches on here next week and give them their moment to shine. So let's do this. Let's jump into some of our topics that I was talking about today, because I'm one of those ones that I watch a lot of stuff on these TVs, and Listen, there and the question at the bottom, and feel free to send in your comments. Are the Texas Longhorns back? Is the question, because this one's a fun one to me, and Longhorn fans set themselves up, I think, because there's this "are they back" deal. We're back. Texas is back, and I'll never understand how a program like Texas isn't, up there with the Alabamas and Georgias and anybody.
The LSUs.
All right, yeah. Trey's an LSU guy, obviously rocking the R. So he's supporting. But yeah, I never will quite understand how that team. They're almost like the Cowboys, right? You should expect them to like win it every year. Like every year, the fans are like, "This is the year," and this is the year for the Cowboys. By the way, we'll touch on that later. Are the Longhorns back?
So look, you're talking about you don't know how they never left, right? But their alumni have a heavy influence on their program, and probably they seem to be more vocal than I'm a big Tiger fan too, and probably as vocal as anyone in college football, and so the coach there has a lot of pressure, but. They're playing pretty good ball. They've got Ewers is a good quarterback, and
is he a good quarterback?
Yeah.
I mean, no, he's a good quarterback. Is he worth the hype it is? Because I'm kind of here's my take on Ewers. He's kind of flashy for me. And I guess it might be because of all the deals and things like that. I've got to see him play here at Rockwall against Braden Locke, and I believe Rockwall won that game, and that was an outstanding game. But I think Texas is going to be back, quote unquote, when Manning gets there.
But what kind of controversy are you going to have when Manning comes in?
Well, I think if yours has the success that he's projected to have, I think he'll enter the draft his junior year, and so that'll be 1 year where they kind of overlap, right? But again, do you think that quarterback's the guy? Do you like him?
I don't know. Is Texas back, or is Oklahoma defense just that bad?
Both.
And right now,
Both.
I think
Maybe
Oklahoma's defense just was that bad.
Yeah, I was joking with some of my buddies the other day. I said I'm really excited for UT and OU to come to the SEC because it'll be nice to have a couple off weeks. We have this gauntlet that we just go through and through. And so I'm looking forward to getting a little bit of, maybe a break. Not a complete break, right? But
yeah, that's what I was looking for right there.
Yeah.
I mean.
There's a couple of scrimmage games during the season.
There's a few, maybe we usually have a bye week before Bama, so maybe we just schedule OU that week, right? Kind of same thing. So.
Texas has to get back on the level of recruiting that A&M, because right now A&M is doing it with Jimbo's doing a good job. Texas has to get back in recruiting the Texas players and everything that they used to do back when Vince Young was there and Mac Brown. So they've got to get back to that. We'll see. I think yours is good, but I think Manning is good, and I think we'll find out. I think yours needs some time, right? He didn't do anything in Ohio State. He immediately came back home, which, to be honest with you, is not that uncommon. There's been a lot of Southern players that go up north, and it's just a whole different lifestyle.
He looks good. He looks good when he was in there against Alabama. And then he gets hurt, right? They lose that close game. But I mean, I don't like crowning kids and at any level. Patrick Mahomes is like, he's the greatest ever. He's the best of all time. And I'm like, I mean, he won a Super Bowl. Yeah. How long has he been in the league? He had look at the weapons he had around him. So is Patrick Mahomes great? Is he good? Yeah. Is he the greatest of all? Is he that? No. I mean, Aaron Rodgers has only won one, and he's considered, I think, one of the best of all time. Brady obviously stands alone.
I think Texas is on the path. They're moving in the right direction. Let's hope they can stay that way, and. I think it's still yet to be determined.
Yeah, I think you made a good point when you talk about recruiting, right? They can almost get who they want. I think going to the SEC will help them, right? I do. I truly do.
It's the strongest conference, no doubt.
It is. But what I saw, sort of outside looking at UT, they kind of come in thinking that they're already champions, right? They were the best of the best. They've been the best. They've been the best of their high schools. They've been the best. They were recruited by everybody. And it seemed like they kind of got there, and you hate to have a football team labeled soft, but I think a lot of people talked about them in the back in the years being that way. And so how do they get to, yeah, we're good, but we can get better, right? We're not here just to, this isn't the milestone that we've wanted to get to, and so if they can get there.
You cannot come in and be successful being entitled.
Yeah.
And most of these kids, just like you said, have been the best of the best on their teams. But then again, they're going to the SEC. So is Alabama. Everybody that plays for Alabama is also the best of the best.
Right.
And LSU's got the best of the best. So, they may have to take a step back. I like their coach. And, they've had that coaching carousel down there for a few years now. I think what they've got going now will work for them. But they can't get ahead of themselves. They just can't.
Yeah, and listen, it's no longer just Alabama, right? Now you got Kentucky, you got Tennessee, you got teams that are that you don't typically talk about.
Call it right now. Tennessee beats Alabama Saturday.
And hey, listen, Alabama has looked vulnerable, and that's why you don't want to take away what Texas did in that game against Alabama.
Exactly.
But
yes.
I don't know. Are they the Alabama of a couple of years ago? I mean, we'll see. Seems like they always get a little bit better as they go on. But the other thing that they kind of, again, rubs me the wrong way when we talk about teams like Texas and things like that, especially in the conference they're in. If they end up running the table, and let's just say TCU drops a game or Oklahoma State drops a game, then right now the talk is if Texas runs the table, they're in. And I'm thinking, well, if you have two teams with one loss, and let's just say TCU drops the one game to Texas, or Oklahoma State drops one game to Texas, right? And that's their losses. Well, who has the worst loss there? Texas getting beat by Texas Tech, or TCU and Oklahoma getting beat by Texas, who is back, right? I mean, and then you're trying to decide. Obviously they'll play for something in the Big 12 championship, but I mean, hey, listen, I mean, I think Ewers is a really good quarterback. I do think that that program's headed in the right way, but I still think it's Manning. I think when Manning gets there, the team will prime itself, and it'll be at a certain area. I just don't think they're there yet.
Yeah, well, there's no reason they shouldn't get the kids, right? This you're saying, right?
Absolutely.
Saban used to say, put a ring around Louisiana, and then I can go win any championship, right? I think it's different now, but they could put a ring. They've got other people coming into that ring, but they have the boosters, right? And so let's just be honest. Nowadays, college football is about how much you're going to pay me, right? And so there is no reason that they should not have top talent.
Yeah, and I'll tell you the team that you talk about Texas. I'll tell you a team that better be careful is A&M, because they Jimbo's right there, man. He could fall. He could fall off the cliff.
He's on a hot
or
seat
he could,
right now
because he's losing close games, and
Yes.
he's right there on the edge, and A&M needs to really be careful.
And if you look at the rosters, if you look at the Oklahoma roster, how many Texas kids are on it? Now, look at the success Oklahoma's had over the last few years. Now, what's going to happen, say Oklahoma goes on a losing streak, is that going to change some of these commits' minds till we want to come back down here and play for Texas? We want to play with the Q and Ewers or the Arch Mannings that are coming in.
Yeah.
That could have a lot to do with the recruiting also. But I think the money part, I'm glad that the kids are getting something out of it. I just don't know that I still agree with paying college players.
Yeah, I would agree. I think that makes even more and more. While we're sitting up here talking mainly about high school football, it's right. Okay, well, used to be, we're going to recruit this kid and he's going to be here for 4 years, right? And now it's like, wait a second. I watched the Georgia-Oregon game and I'm like, wait, who is that guy? He used to be, he used to be at Auburn, and now,
exactly
from our side, right? You look at the A&M quarterback, right? He was playing against them last year for, so it's.
Well, and how long before money starts to creep into high school kids getting paid? And I think it's already happened.
Already has with
him
leaving early and going to Ohio State, right?
I mean, because you're not going to get penalized now because you can do it in the college. Yeah, I think one more interesting thing on the kind of Texas and that Big 12 conference. I saw at the bottom of the screen today, TCU is 75-1 to make it to the national championship playoffs, and Texas is 200-1.
Wow.
I thought it's very, very interesting. So if you're into odds and stuff like that, look it up. It's pretty good. Is Texas back? Who's the best team? Who's the best college team in Texas right now?
Oof.
Oh, it's TCU.
Team?
It's
It's
TCU.
TCU. Yeah, it's got to be
TCU's the ones
TCU.
doing it. I mean, they got
coaching.
It's
Coaching.
yeah,
They got
yeah.
the best coach.
Yeah.
You know, I'd heard that Texas was going to wear purple uniforms Saturday because Oklahoma couldn't beat anybody in purple for the last few weeks. But thank God we didn't do that.
Poor Oklahoma. Hey, yeah, I mean, TCU worked over Oklahoma, and then they just get it's even worse against Texas. So Oklahoma's got some work to do.
I'd finish with at least Texas isn't going backwards.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right.
So look,
Right.
there's my statement.
Don't know if they're back,
they
but
do.
they're not backwards.
Until they do.
Until they do. Yeah. And so we'll see about them. All right. Hey, let's move on because this one is another hot topic. Do the Dallas Cowboys have a QB problem? Obviously, they have the big game against the Eagles Sunday night. But kind of the Eagles, we went from the worst division in football to probably the best, and we don't talk about the Washington Commanders, if that's their name. But the Eagles, how everybody's talking like, oh, that's the best team in football. And I'm like, how did they go from like not even being able to win the worst division in football last year to the best team? But we're going to find out Sunday night. We don't know who's going to start yet. Is it Dak or is it Cooper Rush?
It's Cooper Rush. They've already said. Dak is probably not coming back for another 10 days.
But if he's healthy, who's your quarterback?
If he's healthy,
Yeah,
Dak Prescott has to be.
Yeah.
He's the guy.
He's got 40 million reasons to be the starting quarterback.
Yeah, look, you're paying him. You're going to fall on the sword with him. That's it.
But see, I don't disagree, but I think you're using logic, right? And with Jerry Jones, right? I was joking saying I'm a retired Cowboys fan. I am, right? I used to be a very big Cowboys fan, but he had this same situation. He didn't start Romo over Dak when we had the best team that Romo had ever been there. So for the reasons to start somebody for money or for this, like that wasn't there. Good, it was a different situation, but he saw the future versus winning now.
right.
What do you do if Rush comes out and beats the Eagles? Then what are you going to do? And Dak's ready next week.
No, you got to. I mean, listen. I mean, Rush. What has he thrown? 4 touchdowns. He's thrown no interceptions. But I mean, he's averaging like less than 30 attempts per game. I mean, it's the true game manager. I like the point of they're paying him, but at the same time, I've talked to some high school coaches that have been like, well, you don't give a senior quarterback the position just because it's their time. You play the best quarterback for your team, right? So I think Dak is the best quarterback. I don't think it has, in my opinion, it's not the money. They're paying him. They if he gets healthy, they have to. It's a business side of it. But as far as a football player, you want the best football player at that position playing.
But look, I'll be honest with you. I don't think either one of the guys – look, Rush is not going to take you to the Super Bowl.
No.
Rush he'll manage the game. He'll take care of business. He can get beat if they go up against and look, Philly may jump on them.
Who
we'll
won?
see.
Who won the Super Bowl for the Ravens that year?
Flacco.
Yeah.
Huh?
No.
Oh, you talking about the other one?
Yeah, was not Blake Bortles. Gosh, but
Well, look at
one of
Foles.
the brothers,
Foles came
yeah.
in and won
Yeah.
for the Eagles.
yeah, okay, and then I'll do one more example. When Tom Brady won the Super Bowl for Tampa, that was, you look at his stat line, it was not very good at all. It was so I lean back on the defenses if you're going to win championships.
But I'll say too, Dak's. I don't see Dak taking the Cowboys to the Super Bowl either. I just don't see it.
Oh my gosh.
Well,
I'm glad you said
if you
that.
look at
I
the
like this guy.
comparison to the two quarterbacks that are going to play Saturday or Sunday night,
Sorry to break your heart, buddy.
exactly the same amount of touchdown passes.
Yeah. Well,
It's going to come down to the defense.
Yeah.
And Dallas's defense is better.
Well, and listen.
Yeah, they are.
Dallas is in a no-win. Let's just say Dak was healthy, and he was going to start. If they lose that game to the Eagles, what's everybody crying about? Oh, if Rush was in there, we would have won.
100%.
If Rush was in there, we'd have win. Now, if Rush goes in there and he wins, that just puts gasoline, that puts jet fuel on a fire, right? But if Rush goes in there and loses that game, is everybody that's there's that rush kind of talk, that momentum. Are they like, oh, okay, never mind, we need a Dak in that situation?
No,
And let's be
now
honest.
you're back down to reality.
When Dak goes back in, it's not going to be a Mike McCartney decision.
No.
And if Rush goes out and beats the Eagles, they will play Dak the next week.
Yeah,
He will start.
I'm glad you brought up McCurdy because, look, he's not getting any praise in my opinion, right? And you've got a backup quarterback. You've got one of the quote unquote best quarterbacks in the league that's sitting. He's your proven leader on the field, in the locker room. He's not playing, and how are we not talking about him being the early front runner of Coach of the Year?
They mentioned that I was listening on the way over here. They were mentioning that he should be up there with because he's winning with the backup quarterback.
Well,
Yeah.
You know, Jerry might make the decision to, if he doesn't see him, either one of them winning the Super Bowl, how can I tank this?
Yeah.
Right? I mean,
Yeah.
I think
you got to remember who's running the strings, like you say here, right? And he's messed this up many
But
times.
we all sit there in the preseason and we killed Jerry and we killed Steven for all their moves. You know, they let Lyle Collins go and they let Cooper go, and they look like geniuses right now.
Yeah,
neither one of those guys.
Listen,
None of those guys are gone.
Jerry has done a. You got to give Jerry his credit too, as far as drafting and things like that. Is it Jerry? Is it Steven? I don't care. You got to give the two a combo because the drafts have been pretty solid, and the players they're getting are impact players. They need to find a way to pick off a wide receiver in the free agency. You know, Carolina seems like, I think it's Moore over there at Carolina. I think they seem to be like they fired their head coach. They want to start over. I mean, they need to go get a true number one, number two guy, and because I don't know what CD is, just he's obviously great, but
He needs a sidekick.
yeah. To your point about McCarthy, though, I give him credit, but not on the football side. I give him credit for keeping Dan Quinn there, for saying, hey, this is our guy, this is who we need, because he could have easily said, hey, he could have bailed on Dan Quinn, and because it could have been a distraction of like people are already talking about he's the next head coach, could it be a head coach, and maybe you don't want a guy like that on your staff because he's behind your back for that job. But he decided, hey, let's bring him in. This is who we need. This is the guy. We need to keep him however it takes.
He can help us win.
Yeah.
Right.
And
Listen, I'm not a fan of Kellen Moore. I don't like the guy. I mean, I think he's a average offensive coordinator. And I think if the Cowboys want to go to that next level, they're going to have to get somebody that is of the caliber. I don't think Kellen Moore can carry Dan Quinn's bags, to be honest with you, from a coaching standpoint. So I think at some point they're going to have to look at the offensive coordinator position too. But Dan Quinn is the man, and they need to try to hang on to him because he's done great with that defense.
And that's something, just think about the fans in Denver right now. Think about what they're thinking.
yeah.
They had Dan Quinn. He had already told everyone he was leaving.
Yeah.
And then they come in and they hired this whatever that guy is out there.
Yeah.
So, thank you for Jerry for opening up the pocketbook and keeping Dan Quinn here, because if Dan Quinn is not here, the Cowboys win 4 games this year, maybe.
And I think the Cowboys are close. But again, I think they're a player, maybe 2 away from being, and an offensive coordinator, from being right where they need to be to take it to that next level.
I think they're there, and I think it's because of the defense. If you look, I'm more worried about if you rely on your offense, because some game situations will come up where you need your quarterback to make a play. You need your running back to have a big game. You need your O-line healthy. You need that. But if you have a defense that it doesn't feel like there's as much pressure. Like I feel like I'm confident in the defense. Like I know what they're going to do. You get in a third down situation against Dallas and you're dead. You're not in a good position, especially third and long. So I think because of that, I think Dallas Cowboys. I don't think there's a QB controversy. Cooper Rush came in and did what he was supposed to do.
That's his job.
Yeah, it's a job.
But I will say you got to give the defense a break. We need an offense that can move the ball down the field. Even if they just get a field goal, they got to give the defense a breather, man. Just so
3 and outs. 3 and outs
it's not going to work.
They just don't work. You got to have long, sustainable drives. Give those guys a chance to take a break, like you said.
Yeah, and give the defense a chance. You're not going to win with 14 points. You're just not going to do it.
Yeah. Yeah. And you got to get better, right? I think in the NFL, it's the best league in the world, right? These guys are really good at what they do. You look at what Tom Brady can do. You look at why the Patriots. I mean, they get better, right? And I don't think the Cowboys are a team that you look at and say historically they've gotten better as the season gone on, because there's some sort of drama that happens. Jerry unleashes the circus. Something's going to happen. It's going to distract us. So if they can keep that out of the system, who's to say why they can't be the best team in the NFC?
I'm really excited about them. But before we move on to some high school football, you got a pick for the Eagles-Dallas game?
Oh yeah, Dallas by 10.
I'm gonna go Eagles.
Whoa! I just knew that. Because you okay. Really quick, some backstory here. You said that you're off the Dallas Cowboys.
I typically don't watch the games because I root against them, right? And I hate saying that because I was huge, right? I mean, I was a diehard, rewatching the games, all that. But what I saw happen to Romo, I couldn't get over. What I can't get over is the fact that when I sit down and watch a game, I'm more invested in the team winning than the owner and the person calling the strings. That's how I felt. Right? And so when I look at it and say, okay, maybe the Dak was the future, maybe Romo wasn't because he's hurt, but to me, he was the best chance we had to going far into the playoffs.
But you've now realized that Dak was better.
I have not.
Oh, okay.
No. I like Dak. He beat up my team, twice when he was at Mississippi State. When he shouldn't have. He's a very good football player.
Yeah.
Right? But side story.
No, it's okay.
Dallas by 3, game-winning field goal.
Yeah, I think
Maher's going to do it.
Yeah,
great pickup this year.
Yep,
great pickup. So who is your team? As long as it's not NFC.
It can't be the Saints because our Saints are struggling, brother.
I'm an LSU Tiger and a Rockwall Yellow Jacket. Those are where my teams are. Like,
all right.
I watch NFL because it's really good football, but I don't live and die by it.
I don't know. Did you watch the game last Thursday night? That was not good football.
No, it wasn't, and it was a horrible. You were talking about we can get into the play call at the end of the game was the worst play call, right? I mean, you're fourth and 1 from the 3 to win the game, and you're on a basic crossing route. Like, come on, let's do something.
Yeah.
So.
No, Cowboys by touchdown. I don't think the Eagles have seen a defense like this, and I think this is the coming out party for the Cowboys defense. I think on a national stage, people finally realize
this all hinges on how long Parson keeps that groin injury under control.
Yeah.
Because if he gets hurt, that changes.
Here's the deal:
is
you're starting to see other guys step up. You're starting to see Lawrence Armstrong. You're starting to see guys that are starting to make a big impact, and that's because of Parsons. I think
it is because of Parsons.
He's getting a lot of attention.
Yeah, so I do, and so I think that if he gets injury or something like that, I think the confidence and how that defense is gelling together, I think they can sustain him being out a game like that just because they're so confident right now.
I think Dan Quinn Dan Quinn is just the most amazing defensive coordinator.
This will probably
seen.
be his last year with Dallas.
Oh yeah.
Well, let's hope not. Let's see if we can get a dynasty going here. I don't know. We're Cooper Rush away, so we'll see what happens.
We'll see.
I don't know. I was
Will Greer coming in this week.
Hey, listen, it was either for me, it was Super Bowl or let's win 2 games and have a shot at Jackson Smith out of Ohio State. But it looks like that's not going to happen. So unless we trade up or do some crazy stuff. All right. Hey, let's take a break. When we come back, we're going to dive into some high school football. We're going to start with Heath, and revisit their game against Tyler Legacy on the road. It was a good win. That's always tough to travel to East Texas out to Rose Stadium and get a win. And Coach Harrell and them they've won a couple games now, and now it's they're going to make the final push these last few weeks. Of course, they get a bye this week. I know I don't know what you're going to do Friday night, but
I'll be watching some 2A football.
Okay, all right. Oh, you're going out to where is it again?
I'll be going to Itasca to watch my grandson. They're 6-1 on the season. They are.
Oh wow!
Rolling through district right now. They're a pretty good little squad.
Well, hey, let's do this. Let's take a break. Thank you to Acre Property Team for sponsoring this segment. When we come back, we're going to be talking a little Heath Hawks football. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Shop the Rock at Rockwall Ford. Get rock bottom pricing on 500 new Fords, cars, trucks, SUVs. We got it all. Log online and get your rock bottom deals today. Visit us at I-30 exit 205.
RockwallFord.com. I'm the one. I'm the one. I'm a 1-to-1. I could never be you. Low me tools, no, I can't be fooled. Low me tools, no, I hate these dudes. I'm a 1-to-1. I could never be you. Anything you could do, I could do better. I can do better than you. Anything you could do, I could do better. I can do better than you. Drop my first single like oh he rap. You thought it was a drought, that's cap. I get the front and I get the back. say less. If it's less than a check, say less. If you can say it best, say less. I'm taking all bets, say less. Talking too much, say less. If it's less than a check, say less. If you can say it best, say less. I'm taking all bets, say less. I'm a one-to-one, I could never be you. Little me tools, no, I can't be fooled. Little me tools, no, I hate these dudes. I'm a one-to-one, I could never be you. Anything you could do, I could do better. I can do better than you. Anything you could do, I can do better. I can do better than you. Yeah, I could never borrow from no man. How you talking ownership and no land? I got my roll on, now rolling. I drive all my cars like they're stolen. You got on and put your homies out for ransom. I got on and put my homies on the program. Girls hit me in my DM tryna link up. I leave them on wreck and get a no jam. I'm a one-to-one, I could never be you. Little me tools, no, I can't be fooled. I'm a one. I'm a one. I'm a one-to-one, I could never be you. Little me tools, no, I can't be fooled. Little me tools, no, I hate these dudes. I'm a one-to-one, I could never be you. Anything you could.
We are back. We're back live here at Rockwall Ford. Let me switch this. This sponsor, this segment is brought to you by Tucker Roofing Systems. Play like a champion today. We appreciate everything John Tucker does for us. Of course, have you seen the trailer?
I did.
The trailer's looking nice. I got to get some new wheels and tires on it. I've got to do some things, but
I think you need spinners on the trailer.
I need something, right? Some hydraulics, maybe like make it bounce while
absolutely.
Maybe a winch you can get the set loaded up.
Yeah, I don't know. We're gonna do something, but they were behind that, so we appreciate them making that happen for us. And I was gonna put this out there because I'm so excited to have it that like I don't want to take it off the truck. So obviously it's parked we're renting a home, so we don't have a big driveway. But I had it parked in front of the house, and so. But then as I started driving with it, like the gas is it's eating gas. So I think for one more week I'm going to do it. And I was going to tell people like, hey, if you see it driving around, if you take a picture and send it to us, I'm going to give away some sweatshirts because I have a bunch of new gear that's in. I won't give y'all's away.
I wonder where that's at.
I'm not going to give Trey. I'll get you one too. I'm not going to give y'all's away.
No, you have to wait.
He's the only one with a nice shirt on up here.
Man.
So if you see the trailer riding around town this week, starting on Sunday, if you take a picture out and about and you send it to us, I'll get you a sweatshirt or a T-shirt.
So I guess we have to follow the trailer down to get our stuff.
We'll say the first 10. How about that? The first 10 people that send it, because I might get 50. I don't know. I mean, we do live in a small community here. So anyhow, okay, we're back, and it's time to talk a little bit of Heath Hawk football. Of course, Heath goes to Title Legacy. They get a 35-14 win. They improved to 2-1 in district play. It's really highlighted by their rushing. They just have a really good balanced game. Caleb Hoover, he throws for a touchdown. Brenton Snyder, is it Tuzno? Tuzno has 2 touchdowns. So they just find a way to win in a tough place to win. Title Legacy is not having the best year, but again, I think we were talking about it before. It's really hard to win over there. It's really hard to win a district game, especially when the programs know each other like they do. But Coach Harrell and them, they get the job done. And like I said, they improved to 2-1 on the year. Kevin, you were there. Just kind of some thoughts and some things that you saw in that game.
I'll tell you, Tyler is probably one of the better 1-5 teams you're going to see. Their defensive line is strong. Their Alabama commit is the real deal. He is quick, and he will hit you.
He's on the D-line, is that correct?
Yes. Yeah. Number 3 found out real quick that he will hit you. So, we only threw the ball 5 times in the second half. And it was, I think it was because of our rushing attack was just so good that night. Josh got a little banged up in the first half. They put him on the turf pretty hard, and he was a little banged up. So I don't know if that had anything to do with it, but he threw a touchdown pass, caught a touchdown pass.
Caleb,
Caleb. I'm sorry, Caleb.
Yeah. I did see Josh at the game the other night, but go ahead.
And, we threw some new stuff in. We took the opening kickoff 40 or 50 yards back. First play was a slot receiver pass, I guess you would say. Peyton had 31-yard passing on his very first play. And so, I mean, less than 30 seconds into the game, it's 7-0. Our defense stopped. I would like to give one big shout-out to Cash Cleveland because, a couple of weeks ago, Cash just completely destroyed one of his fingers.
Saw that.
It was cut open. And I asked him before the game, I said, "Are you okay?" He said, "Yeah." He fixed to go take some aspirin. And somebody smashed that kid's finger. And when you see Cash coming off, hanging his hand down like that, but he never came out. He just toughed it out and went in there. The offensive line did a great job, as usual. Defense was awesome. We had a interception return for a touchdown. Now, Tyler's got a really good quarterback. He can sling it. He will sling it. He's not afraid to sling it. They got some good receivers. So,
but the Hawks force, they get 2 interceptions.
Yes.
They win the turnover battle, 3-0. It was a good showing by the defense.
And if you look back, the Hawks defense has made they've had a lot of turnovers this year. At least one a game. Most of the time 2 and 3. And the good thing about that is when offense is coming in, they are taking advantage of that short field. We lost another player lost our kicker, but. Backup comes in, does his job, didn't miss any. All in all, it was a really, really fundamental game. Nothing just really stood out. The boys did what they were supposed to do. They came in, they got their win, we got home. It was an off week. School was out, so you got that. Plus you got your travel. The kids' fair and everything else going on. I just thought that all in all they did a good job. Kudos to the folks down in Tyler. They were very, very welcoming to everyone. I know we had a little issue with our tunnel. We burnt 2 of our blowers up, and it's about the time we're supposed to go out, one of the tunnels starts going down, and one of their cats come over and asked us if we needed anything, which I thought was very, very nice of them. So, they were very welcoming. And it's a beautiful field. Mm-hmm. Oh, my gosh, it's such a beautiful field.
Yeah, and your son, again, 56 yards, 7 receptions. It was good to see Eli Finley. He gets a touchdown. You feel like that's a weapon that really, the Heath really wants to utilize. He's just a big target for them.
Eli, and the catch, say for a touchdown, it wasn't an easy touchdown. They threw it up, and Eli's just that big, and he's been coming on a lot lately. So J.D. Webb got involved. He got some passes in there to him.
41 yards for J.D. Webb.
Yeah, 31 of them from Peyton. So I told Peyton there for a while. I said, "Son, you do know you had more passing yards in the first half, and you had receiving yards, whatever." So it was all in all. We threw some new stuff out, and you came out, you won, you expected to win, you did it, and it's over. It's time to get, thank goodness we got a break. Maybe we can get some folks back healthy, and then get ready for Horn. Because Horns, we talked about it at the beginning of the year. We talked about them all year. They are not somebody to sleep on.
Yep.
So we'll see what happens. It's going to come down to these last 3 games. Horn, Royce City, and North Forney, all 3 is what we have coming up. And we got to win. We got to win 2 or 3 of those games.
Yeah, North Forney. They're better than advertised. They're better than what we all kind of did our picks at the first of the year, and we were struggling to find wins for them. Obviously, they've already won 3, and they've been going in all their football games. Even when they played Horn, they were competitive in that game.
Yes, they were.
And so you're going to go. I believe they'll have them at home. I think. Or maybe they might be on the road because next week they're at home for homecoming. Or not this week. Next.
We're home. Yeah, they were at Royce City, and then we're back home for North Forney.
Oh yeah, so home for North Forney, and then
it's hard to believe there's only 3 games left.
Yeah, no, it's crazy.
It's 4, but 3 games for us. So
obviously, really quickly, to kind of close out on Heath. They go into the bye week. I saw Coach Harrell last night. He's fired up, and he's really wanting to get things going with this Heath team. This bye week, how important is it now based off the injuries that you've seen?
I think it couldn't have came at a better time. There's nothing we can do about the ACLs, but you got Cash. His fingers banged up, and you got Caleb that took a couple of hits. Peyton, he was still hurting a little bit from the game before. Mesquite, they put a pretty good lick on him. Both the running backs are coming back healthy. Davenport's coming in. We're going to be able to work with some of these new receivers that are having to be moved up and work in different positions than what they were used to. Some of these kids are out there. They weren't thinking they were going to play this year. They just weren't. And it's next man up. So it's a good time for us to be able to get them that extra week of practice, extra week of time to go out there, get familiar with the plays, get familiar with Josh, Caleb, and find out exactly if you got Eli's going to run this way, Page's going to run this way, exactly where am I supposed to be?
Right.
We haven't had any major problems like that, but the injuries can start acting up to, and we've talked about that 100 times about who is going to be the healthiest going into the year.
Yeah.
So this is a good week for us to not have to worry about that.
Yeah, and I think this is a big game for you guys because that Horn, I think, is going to decide 2 and 3. I think that's an important game for you, and you're right, man. I think this is it's kind of. And we'll talk about our schedule later, but I think this schedule sets up perfectly for you because North Forney's not going to quit. That's your last game of the year. You'll be in by then. I'm confident of that. But this game that y'all are coming up on, I think, is a big game for you, probably the biggest game to finish out the year, and we'll decide 2 and 3 in the district.
Yeah, it's going to be. We've had this one circled for a while. I mean, Horn is
legit.
Horn is my surprise.
They got a lot of
team.
talent.
Horn is my surprise team this year. I did not, because I was going off what I saw last year, and they weren't very good. They're a very well coached team this year. Yes. I watched the game on TV the other night when they were playing North. They've got some cats that'll just.
They played Rockwall real hard.
Yeah, they did,
and had them.
They're big. They're big. They're talented, right? And so I think.
They will hit. They are not afraid to hit.
And they're hard to get on the ground.
Yeah.
So. Yes.
Mr. Johnson, I see your question. We'll get to it in just a second, and appreciate the shout out from Miss St. Clair. Us supporting volleyball. Rockwall volleyball team. Real quick mentions. So they get another big win last night. They look to be. Primed and ready to go, but so I appreciate the shout out there, and also the JV Rockwall team. Their parents are amazing. They send us all sorts of videos. They're asking how they can help. They want to be part of what we're doing. So
that's awesome. That's good.
So shout out. But back to Horn. That was a team that early on when we looked at the amount of returning players they had and the talent they had on that team, and then they only win like 2 games last year. I think they only won 1 at home or something like that, and you were scratching your head. And then of course they bring in the head coach from North Crowley, and it makes but still you were wondering, like, are the kids going to receive the message that quick? And
boy, did they.
And he brings over
yes.
I remember talking to the Mesquite Horn coach before the season kicked off, and he was talking about he brought most of his staff over, and but what they left behind at North Crowley's like doing really well, and that's just kind of, and now Horn's his fingerprint is on some good stuff.
Some good coaching, right?
Yeah.
Good programs, good coaching. You leave something better than where you got there, right? It's a good thing.
It shows that they bought into what he had when he left, and they're buying into it now.
Yeah,
because they are a good team. They're a good team.
You guys have seen Horn, and obviously that was a really close game, and Horn was leading at some parts of that game. Just kind of your thought on Horn.
Yeah, I thought we got up early. I thought it was going to be over going into halftime, right? Turnover happens, something happens, and then boom, all of a sudden we're sitting in the stands thinking we got a game, and then
right.
when you let a team like that, I think, get rolling and get momentum, they had all the confidence in the world, right? And they're good. They're big. They have talent, right?
Yeah.
So it was a big win for us, and I thought it was, how we held it together to come back in the second half. I thought just shows so much around our kids, our coaching staff. So you have your hands full, right?
Yeah.
I mean, they're everybody, right?
They're not. They don't quit.
No. There's a lot of teams, right? I think that just across high school football, right? You can look at the record, and I mean, you can look at Cedar Hill for a perfect example, right? Cedar Hill's a really good football team.
Right.
That's won 1 game.
Yeah.
Right?
Well,
so it's hard, right? And so these
that.
kids aren't ever going to quit. You're coming around North Forney, right? They have pride. They want to keep playing. They want to get better. So.
Well, hey, listen, Cedar Hill. How much is the fact that South Oak Cliff, DeSoto, Duncanville, those teams are they're really bringing in some players that probably would have played at Cedar Hill. I think Cedar Hill is struggling because they're losing some talent to some teams.
I talked to a guy last night. His son goes to Waxahachie, which is in that district, and he said that is exactly what happened. That is an open enrollment. You can come and go as you please.
Yeah.
So there you go. That's what happened. They saw the writing on the wall. They said a lot of them went to South Oak Cliff, DeSoto, Duncanville. They went where they they're ring chasing. But heck, if you're gonna do it, go get it.
You start going down a dangerous path with that, and it's not talked about enough. And we're talking about high school kids, so you don't want to like bash kids and things like that. But you got to ask yourself about some of these coaches that can just move around, and it seems like the talent just goes with them.
Well, they're in the district doom, right? And we have to focus a lot on them because we're every year second round of the playoffs. You're going to get one of those too. And so what's interesting is with the realignment in Waxahachie, right? If Waxahachie can get in, they're going to take DeSoto's spot in D1, right? And so it's you start getting in the gritty. You don't want to look too far ahead of the wheel, but the winner coming out of our district that's going to go D1, well, now can say, hey, maybe we don't have to hit a DeSoto, right? Which everybody's going to be really good,
right? And with Horn looking like they're gonna be in the playoffs, it's going to be Rockwall and Horn
exactly.
They go to D1, and then you'll have Heath, and then plug in either Royce City. North Forney.
It'll be Royce City.
It'll be Royce City.
Yeah. Well, hey, that was.
But missing those teams right there is fine. It's good too. But if you look at the D2 side of this thing, Denton, Trophy Club, Highland Park,
all
going to be in D2. Yeah. There is no easy walk this year.
No. I mean, it's not easy once you.
It's just crazy with all this alignment and then moving folks up. And kudos to Highland Park for going up 6-8.
Well, I'm excited for the Horn Hawks game. I think that's a big, important game, and that will probably solidify the 2-3 spot and district. So that's a big game. It's as big as any other game that we've had since we started district.
It's going to be it's not going to be the crosstown rivalry game, but it's going to be a big. Where we are at game. It's homecoming, so we should probably have a decent crowd come out. Please have a decent crowd come out. These kids are working really hard every week. But it will be I think it'll be a tough, hard-fought battle. Our defense is back to where I think they should be. Our secondary really, really, really came up this week. Brady Luff over the last couple of weeks is a man on a mission.
Oh, he's a stud.
He is hitting people and hurting people.
Love everything he brings.
He is a great kid. Love him to death. His dad's on the tunnel crew with me. He's a great family. You've met Barry out there at the little thing we had. So it's going to be a good game. I think we can pull it off. I think it's going to give us the advantage that we're playing at home.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely.
Home field advantage never hurts anything. I think it's going to hurt us when we play y'all because y'all have the home field advantage.
We're going to try.
Yeah,
so we'll see.
We'll see what happens. But we're going to try.
But we still got a lot. I got a question for the panel here, Mr. Larry Johnson, and he wants to know from the panel here. There's talent across the board here in Rockwall County. He wants to know why is there a lack of offers. He mentions number 11, Sam Mitchum, the running back, with 0 offers over at Royce City, and then Aiden Meeks, who currently just has the 1 offers, and he's talking about others out there. He's sure that aren't mentioned there, but curious to have your thoughts about the amount of the lack of offers around here.
So, this question has come up before, and. In fact, it came up yesterday on social media. Someone was asking about the coaches. And, recruiting is funny. It is a funny thing. And I'm going through it. I've been through it. I'm going through it again and in different sports. And it's not always up to our high school coaches. Their job is to put the kids out there. It's the kids' job to take that next step, do the highlight videos, go to the camps, communicate. They have to reach out, and I've learned this, through trial and error and doing things myself. And it doesn't matter which sport it is. but Sam is going to showcases. He's getting seen, but the bottom line is I think a lot of it has to do with the college coaches and the colleges themselves. And a lot of the coaches, they're in the middle of their season too. So they're not necessarily all focused on recruits because they're seeing thousands and thousands of kids.
Right.
So now before season, after season, I think it gets pretty hot and heavy. But during the season, it probably backs off just a little bit. I think it's a combination of things. I think.
Your running back, number 11, junior or senior?
He's a senior.
Senior. Was he the starter last year?
No.
Yeah. No, Champ Dozier, who's trying to walk on
if you
at
think,
TCU.
I mean, I've had people asking me. They ask me every week, is Peyton getting the offers? Is Peyton getting the offers? Well, no.
Yeah.
He wasn't the starter last year, so his name wasn't out there. We have to put his name out there this year. He was behind Corby Cleveland and Jordan Neighbors. All right, those guys are gone. So now you have a senior that had one catch at his junior year for 5 yards. Yep. That's out there at the time last week was leading the district in receiving yards. And you've seen the hands. He's great. He's a great ball player. Yeah. He hustles. He works. He blocks. He does everything he's supposed to do. But we're the ones that have to put his name out there. He's got his highlight reels. He's having to email these to coaches. He's going to have to do it. And and the transfer portal has just absolutely
that hurt things a lot this year too.
It's killed us in baseball.
That made a big difference. But you can't make these college coaches give these kids offers. I mean, and it's so tedious and like I said, it's every sport.
And
it's not just football.
We still have to have a little bit of COVID trail, right? Because they have the COVID exemption.
Well, it's the transfer portal, and then you get an extra year of eligibility.
Kids still staying around.
Yes,
yeah. I would say
that's what's killing baseball.
Yeah, it's probably a fair question. I'm not saying it's not, but we've got some big names that are out there.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, you look at Rockwall, you look at Noble, I think he's got 56 offers.
Right.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, where do you want to go to school?
Right.
Here you go, right?
Well,
I mean, you look
Marshall,
at Jackson.
Looked like Marshall last year.
Yeah. I mean,
how does that kid not get recruited? How is he not on a D1?
I think what it is, and this is just me. I don't have kids going through recruiting. I haven't experienced that. But if you look at Rockwall play football, if you look at them get off the bus, I don't know how many teams they intimidate by getting off the bus, right? I don't know how many 6'5", 250-pound guys we got. But so on paper, it might not be bad. How do you say, hey, we just got really good kids that are really smart, that are coachable, that show up when they need to show up? That
right.
That doesn't transfer to film. That doesn't transfer to paper. Yep. And I think that's why, from a Rockwall standpoint, we are always there, right? Because our coaches have found the ability to get these kids that are really good kids to buy into a system and play really smart, play really hard, and you might not be a 6'4", 215-pound receiver, right?
That size.
So maybe that's some of it.
Well, and I can tell you, too, I know for sure that scouts are calling. I know for sure they're on the sidelines because I see them. They were there at our North Forney game. They were there at Rockwall last week. So the coaches, so again, and Sam is doing everything that he's supposed to do.
Right.
But again, the bad part is you are at the mercy of these guys, and you might be able to develop a relationship with the coach at SFA, maybe, and if you can, great. You might be able to develop the relationship with I think the guys like Noble Johnson and all these offers and stuff. Alabama's a different animal. Ohio State, the D1 FCS school, FBS schools, that's a whole different deal. And I
think that kind of leads me to this. You almost as an athlete, maybe as a parent, kind of have to swallow your pride a little bit and say,
100%.
Who are you reaching out to? Who are you trying to build a relationship with? And are you okay with playing D2 or going to a really small college? And because wherever you go, if you start making a name for yourself at whatever school, you're going to get noticed.
Look,
now you're playing a higher level of football.
Is Oklahoma or Alabama or Texas going to come down here and say, holy crap, I want number 3? No, they're not. East Texas Baptist, little school out in East Texas, are they? Maybe. If they don't, all right, here's what we got to do. We're going to have to go find us a school we want to go to, and you get to walk on. But I don't care if it was the University of Texas or if it's Jimmy John's School of Sandwich Making. If they come up and say, okay, here you go, kid. I like your attitude. I like your effort. I'd like for you to come play football for me. That's who we're going to go with.
Yeah.
You know, we're not going to have 75 offers. We're just not. We're too late in the system. You know, last year there was 11 D1 athletes on the Heath football team. 11, which is great. But of those 11 D1 athletes, you got to remember they all had backups, and none of those backups saw a lot of playing time. So at that time, you know, I saw 10 scouts a game out there watching these kids. You know, if you throw a couple of 2 or 3 out there and they get a couple of times, maybe their name comes up. But what we're doing is we're just in the film. That's all we can do. You get a school. I know Peyton's got a couple of schools that he really would like to go to. Clayton's doing the same thing with baseball right now. I don't care where you go.
Yeah.
I just want you to go and get an education.
Yeah. How much of that, I guess, maybe y'all know this, and maybe you too, Chris, is like when you think about that, you talk about going to get an education. Like, hey, do I want to go play football and maybe go play somewhere that's a little bit lesser? Do I want to say, hey, maybe my time's up and I'm going to go focus on my education, right? Does that factor into some too? Because there's a lot of really smart kids that go to our schools as well too.
Okay, you can go to Athens, Texas right now and play football at Trinity Valley Community College. You can play 2 years, get your courses out of the way. Okay, who's to say that Texas don't come up and say we like that guy?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And that's where you go. You get you some playing time, you get your schooling in, and I think for my son, it would be better to go to a smaller school that's not bigger than him. I think Texas or Alabama or Oklahoma would swallow him up. I really do.
Sure.
So that's why I think a smaller school for him would be great. And it's something we're going to have to look at.
You kind of see it with Corbin Cleveland over at Ohio State. Like, that's a really good wide receiver. Like, I think Corbin has every single ability out there to be able to play at another level,
right?
And to be able to play on Ohio State, and then, you know, have the production to be able to be thinking about playing professional football. But when you go to a school like that, there's a lot of kids like that, and you know, a player like Corbin, he had an injury, you know, a couple of injuries. Well, that pushes you back down, and now you got to fight your way back up, right? So, I mean, you know, when you're going to these bigger schools, you know, you got to kind of sit there and just keep grinding and waiting. You know, why these kids aren't, you know, like again, you know, I think Corbin, of course, he was in that COVID transfer portal, you know, time, because I think otherwise he's a highly recruited wide receiver that's going to go, you know, he can pick schools and things like that. But these kids not getting noticed, I mean, how much is it that, you know, Royce City, we're talking about Sam, you know, isn't this high profile program?
That's right.
And are they looking, you know, down I-30 past Rockwall? You know, are coaches and recruiters, are they making it past, you know, Rockwall? You know, where are they going to find
and here's the deal, too. It made a big difference for us to go from 5A to 6A.
Yes.
Believe it or not, that made a difference for us. And the coaches do have relationships with certain colleges, and they'll tell you that. And, look, we had several scouts here last week at the Rockwall game. They didn't come because they didn't have anything else to do on a Friday night, and they just wanted to scout.
Exactly.
They came specifically to look at certain players, Sam, you know, and I talked to a couple of those scouts, and they were here looking at about 4 different players that they had their eyes on, and it was an offensive lineman, and it was a possible running back, but not to play running back, to possibly play a slot.
Well,
so they're looking
right
at a lot of different things.
Here's a good point that you just brought up too. You're going to have eyes on Noble Johnson when you play Rockwall. That's your time.
Yeah.
That game is going to be more impactful than you going to a showcase and, you know, go into a different camp, because now you've got people there, scouts, coaches that came to you unknowingly, right? They came to see somebody else. So when you go,
and that's exactly why. Yeah. You know, when Peyton had the night he had against Rockwall, you know, we scored 21 points, 14 was his. Yeah. Had the long bomb. And then he had the Mosscats. Yeah, you know,
somebody saw
that. Yeah, there's some feelers going out. They haven't contacted they may have contacted the coach. The coach may be keeping it to himself right now, which is fine with me.
Yeah.
Because we have another thing at hand right now. We're going out here to win district to get on to a state title.
Yeah.
Then we'll worry about school.
Yeah, and I think Sam is again, because he was in that question.
Yep.
Him doing that against Rockwall. Now, if he goes out and he's got an Alabama defensive end when they play Tyler Legacy, and they're going to play a team like Horn, if he goes out and does what he did in the first half against Rockwall, I guarantee you he popped up on some radar after that Rockwall game, and I guarantee you if he does work against those teams, some defense.
Well, and just to answer Larry's question, I don't think there is a definite answer because there's so many variables in there.
Yeah.
And I think some of it is luck, some of it is performance, some of it is being in the right place at the right time, playing a squad that has a big-time 1-2 players.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
Exactly.
I think there's a lot of factors now that, like I said, yes, coaches have a play in that because coaches can help you or hurt you. And so, but
hey, bottom line, you go out there and perform.
that's it.
You perform consistently, somebody's going to notice you. And then if you end up having to go to a smaller school that maybe you didn't want to, but you want to keep playing, if you go there and you do the same thing, you're going to get noticed, and people are going to want you to transfer.
And you have to be versatile.
Yeah.
Look, Noble committed to
Clemson.
Clemson, but is he going to go to Clemson and play receiver? I don't know. Maybe not. Maybe he goes and plays safety.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen him on the defense side of the ball. I mean, he's just a big body, right? I mean, some kids are going to get recruited because they have they have the frame.
Yeah.
They have the frame. So
Absolutely.
so we hope we answered your question there. It's always a good topic to talk about. Let's do this. Let's move on. I want to move on to Rockwall and talk about. Did you have a point? Or are you good?
No, I wanted to give a shout out to Landry Powell.
Oh, okay.
Landry Powell signed this week with East Texas Baptist University to keep his career going as a pitcher. And let me tell you what, there's probably not a better kid or a better family that you will walk up and see pitch this year when you come to a Heath game. The kid has worked hard. I call him Pooh. His dad calls him a sloth, but I call him Pooh. The kid has worked on his craft, and I am beyond proud of this young man for not only for his athletic ability but for the human being he is. He's just a great kid, and I'm so happy for him.
Yeah, well, congrats to him. Yeah, we can't wait to see some baseball around here. Super fun too. But we still got a lot of business to handle in the football world, and obviously Rockwall is handling their business right now.
Yes, they are.
They get a really good win this past Friday night. A 50-24 win over Royce City. Listen, that game, I had some stats real quick. I want to, because I was up looking at it. So in that first half, obviously Royce City 302 yards. The offense, they have 3 touchdowns. They have the field goal. Rockwall 352 yards. They have 3 touchdowns, a field goal. They did have the 1 turnover on downs. But the story of the night was that second half.
Shutout.
Yeah. Royce City doesn't score. They only have 107 total yards in that second half. They have the 1 turnover, and then I call it an elite special teams group. That Coach Young and Coach Brooks have over there. They get the safety. They're always. I feel like sometimes I'm like, man, I really shouldn't talk about this but it's not a secret. If you
got an onside, you call it an onside kit, pooch, whatever you want to call it. It's a part of their game.
Yes.
That they work very, very hard on.
Yeah.
And requires other people to work very hard on it too.
Yeah.
And I think it's a secret weapon.
Rockwall comes out 257 yards in the second half, 2 touchdowns. Noble Johnson, 162 yards, I think 3 touchdowns. He has the 2 incredible catches that were really good, well contested. That was just a big-time wide receiver making a play on the ball, and he went up for it and got it. But overall, I think Rockwall. This was a case, I think, where they didn't know Royce City. You can watch film. They know other teams and things like that, but until you play them and realize how special Sam is, how do you know that the quarterback Kenneth Spring and his brother Eric are they're
rugby players.
Rugby players.
Yeah.
Do you know that how physical and they're not the the biggest dude. They're not, but when you play them and you see them go, you realize how talented that team is. And so I thought what Rockwall was able to do, what Coach Brooks and them were able to do in that second half, being able to make adjustments with Coach France was phenomenal job. Trey, I like to hear your thoughts. I know you spent some time around the program. You go to every game. Your thoughts on Rockwall and the seasons so far.
Well, I think the season so far has been pretty spectacular, right? And we can get into that. But I thought the game specifically from a Royce City standpoint was we'll hear about from the Royce City side, but to me I thought it was a big game. It was a big game for our community, right? It was the first time Royce City was coming to 6A. They came prepared, right? The visiting section was loud. Yeah. They were raucous, right? I mean, I showed up 5 minutes late. We were playing in a golf tournament, right? Yep. So I was a little late, and I had to scramble to find a parking spot on the visitor side because, I mean, it wasn't quite Heath,
right?
But it was pretty close. And I thought they took Royce City a heck of a punch, right, in the first half. And I think it shows what the kind of caliber of kids that Rockwall has and the type of coaches that they have to be able to take that punch and come out. And the fans didn't get quiet. It's not like the Royce City fans left. Right. They were even more jacked up starting the second half. Royce City gets the ball. Mm-hmm. And
it's quite a defensive battle.
Those
first
pretty
few
impressive
possessions were – it was, the defense, and then – obviously, when a game like that, you're talking about a few plays that just kind of changed the game, right? And obviously, with the block punt for a safety, and then the couple of plays that Noble makes, they change the game.
Yeah, and I thought so too. We talk about special teams, so block punt, but again, the pooch, whatever you want to call it, it's an added element that gives them an extra possession that can deflate other teams, right? And when you run and spend as much time on special teams that they do, right? I love it, right? I love the dual kicker. I love the what are we going to do? What are we going to bring, right? And, some people scratch their head and say, wait, why did we just kick an onside kick when we're up 21? Well, a lot of reasons. One, you're adding something to video. You're adding something for somebody else to prepare for that now they have to spend more time during their week preparing for special teams when they would be doing something else, right? And so football's 3 phases. And special teams can win you games, and it's won Rockwall a lot of games. And I think it really helped them there. I think the defense, the scheme, it's obviously not in the locker room at halftime, but something changed, right? The coaches saw something. They were able to bring it to the kids, and back to my point, the kids being so coachable and their ability to adapt and not get down that's what impresses me the most, right? It's just, okay, we took their punch, right? We should be winning, and now let's come out and I don't want to use the word dominate, but they put on a really good show in the second half. And that's what impressed me, is how they came back and responded. And that's the caliber of kids and the caliber of coaches that we have, and it's fun to watch.
Yeah, Rockwall is a complete football team.
Yeah.
Yes, they are about as well-rounded as a team can possibly be on all phases of the game. And Coach Young is probably going to be sought after to go somewhere else, and as he should be. I mean, a lot of people don't spend a lot of time on special teams.
By the way, we don't endorse that. We want Coach Young, because I tell somebody that I was like, I could sell tickets just to
watching him on the sideline.
Let's just watch Coach Young. I need to get a camera guy one night, and I'm just like, it's the Coach Young cam. And that's all we do.
Special teams can hurt you, man. And it showed with the safety, and then the onside kick, and then the fumbled pooch kick. I mean, that and all of those, I think we stopped on the 2-yard line, one of them, but the other two scored. Mm-hmm. Well, there's 14 points right there. So we didn't help ourselves at all. Yeah. But Rockwall is a very, very, very good team.
Yeah, I love how you said balanced, right? And I think that's what it is. I think if, stats, I think there's, 5 players that have more than 10 catches. There's 4 guys that have over 100 yards rushing, right? Like you have Noble, right? And you've got a very good quarterback, senior quarterback in the league, right? Great running backs, but it's a team, it's an effort.
Yeah, no, Meeks had receptions, Emery had runs, Noble had catches, Lake did some running.
Will Parker, that guy.
Yeah,
Parker.
He looks like nothing, and this guy just can break through pack. I mean, he cuts back really well. He reads the O-line. Shout out to the O-line, what they're doing.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, they're doing, especially, losing some pieces, as Coach, Brackett did, and now to replace him and now what they're doing.
And look, I'll tell you, Rockwall didn't do anything that surprised us, right? We knew what we were getting. We expected Rockwall to do what Rockwall did, and they did exactly what they were supposed to do. And so, hey, man, listen, nothing but respect. My boy was guarding Noble. And look, what can a 5'9", 5'8" kid do against a 6'5", receiver?
It's tough.
And it's like that. It's been like that all season. And,
But he's talking about Harper though. I mean, he
gave it all he had.
He's played super at the cornerback position all year, and he's not easy to beat even at 5'9". There are some 5'9", 6 foot cornerbacks in the NFL that are just tough. And I thought, again, it's not like Noble was lighting it up from the first, second through the fourth quarter, right? I mean, they were doing what they had to do. But
and the point is all week long you heard a lot of chitter chatter. You didn't hear anything from Noble. You didn't hear anything from Branch. And then on the field Friday, I saw them talking. I saw them slapping each other on the shoulder pad. So there was a lot of respect there between the two of them, and that was awesome to see. And dude, look, Noble's a good player, but it's not just about him.
Right.
Rockwall's got a lot of talent.
Yeah, they do. And the thing from the defensive standpoint that I've loved watching Rockwall's defense this year, right? If you go back to when Coach Webb was here, right, it was like, hey, we're going to win. And Coach Brooks was the offensive coordinator. It's like, hey, we can win 70-72, right? There was some of that in the industry. And I think Brad's got the defense just swarming. Last year, the defensive parents had the swarm shirts, and the offense parents had the Showtime shirts, right? I think that's being bred. It is swarming to the football, and a lot of guys on the football, and a lot of people there ready to go, being in the right spot at the right time.
Hayden, Flowers,
oh gosh,
Stoner. I mean, Cunningham.
I love watching Stowball. I sat behind Stowball's parents, one time. I think it was at the Prosper game, and just like that kid, he's just in the right spot. And how many? Like, next time you go to a Rockwall game, count how many times you hear his name on the loudspeaker.
Well, Stowball
there.
Stoner made a couple of plays. Stowball's name was called a lot.
Yeah.
So he was out there a lot. And then to talk about the future for Rockwall, I think they're going to do well. They need to work on stopping that run game a little bit. They let us gain some yards. And look, Sam is an elite running back and is probably as good as they're ever going to see from here on out. He's a very good running back. So if they can kind of clamp down a little bit on that running game, dude, they're there.
Yeah, I think it's whenever you're there is getting them on the ground too. Yeah. I think I didn't realize the rugby connection when Chris and I were talking earlier, but there was a play in late in the second quarter. My son's sitting next to me, and number 11 thinks quarterback. He's down. And then all of a sudden he's out, and my son's like, he can't do that.
Yeah.
We had him. I'm like, you got to get him on the ground. You got to get him on the ground, And so you're there, and it's. But I think that's a credit to also Roy City.
Yeah, Spring
really
is so good, man, and we cringe every time he runs as much as he does. But the dude, he is not going to run out of bounds. He's just not.
Yeah.
He would much rather hit you, and I'm like, oh, what are we doing? But the dude is probably one of the toughest kids that I've ever seen, man. He's
I think that was the difference in that game. Was you started seeing Stoner and those guys get to him in the backfield, and those sacks really, they just played they really hurt Roy City in that second half. And again, the adjustments they made. I want to really quickly, Lake Bennett. He's played 5 games. He's over 1,100 yards, 71% completion. His
deep ball percentage. His deep ball percentage is probably better than that, because every time the kid lets it go and throws it over 40 yards, it's effortless.
Yeah. Well,
listen, I was so impressed with him, and what I was really impressed with is his style of play. The dude can sidearm it. He can go overhand,
and he's smooth.
And he's
regardless
very
of what he's
smooth.
doing,
he's smooth and he's fast.
Yeah.
I mean, he has such a quick release on it that he gets it away. And we got to him a couple of times. But listen, the dude he's just so quick. Yeah. So quick with that release.
I was really excited about him, taking the reins as a starting quarterback, and I thought, hey, we got a Tebow on our hands, like just ground and pound. And then the first time I saw him throw it, a couple times at Cedar here before he got hurt, it's the accuracy and the just smoothness of it, right? If you remember,
and it's a pretty ball.
Yeah.
Oh,
and if you think about that, if you think about what he did, I remember one game last year, I'm sitting there thinking, I said, okay, wait a second. He started at linebacker. He came in and played backup quarterback for a bit. He punted. He held kicks. He was on kickoff. And now he's your starting quarterback and has 71% completion rate.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's impressive.
Yeah, it was. And, hey, listen, if we go back to the show before we a couple weeks ago, and you talked about, hey, listen, we're going to bring something to Rockwall that they hadn't quite seen just yet. And I think that's exactly what happened. I think that Rockwall, Roy City went into that game. They were going to play toe-to-toe with them. And then good teams and they go into the half and they find a way to make adjustments. They did. Sam goes out for a little bit. I don't think he didn't play much of the third quarter. Some of the fourth. But even still, it was just the overall effort from the defense, and then the play of Lake Bennett.
Not taking away credit from Rockwall at all, because they did what they did, but smallest school in the district against the largest school in the district, it boils down to depth. We didn't sub any offensive linemen.
Yeah.
It is what it is. What we got is what we got, and I'll credit those kids on the offensive line because their ability to continue and push on. You're not gonna outwork us, because our conditioning is what we have to be conditioned, because we still have to develop depth, and it's going to take a few years to get there.
Yeah.
But we came out, we did some things, but again, Rockwall did exactly what Rockwall was supposed to do, and it worked.
Yeah, it's interesting you talk about depth. I think it's true, and there's a difference in the number of the kids that go to school here too. But I think it's also a lot of people. And I've been watching Rockwall football now 7-8 years, and it's kind of still learning. Right, y'all are a lot farther along than I am in that, but it's not just, hey, we've got some really good 7th graders, and so in 4 years we're going to be really good, right? It's how do we get the kids that are in the 3rd grade, the 4th grade, the 5th grade interested in this, and buying into a program. If you go, I think it was the most kids that have ever been to the Rockwall football camp showed up this year.
Yep.
Whenever they do, preseason workouts, the most kids are showing up, and it's not just football, but it's everything else. I want to be a part of something. I want to be a part of the community. I want to go out and work with my buddies.
Right.
I want to go out in whether it's water polo, whether it's softball, whether it's tennis, whatever it is. We want to be a part of something, and it's establishing that. And it's going to take time. And I think being 6A and being in and going against the Heath and the Rockwalls, it will probably elevate Roy City and make everybody else have to be better.
It's just like a garden, man. You got to plant that seed.
Yeah.
And you got to start it early, and that's what it's all about.
And you can see it. You can see these teams kind of growing and things like that. I'll tell you what, Kane, their 8th grade A team, what they're doing this year, and what they did last night to Williams. That's he's got some players coming in a hurry. But Rockwall's there. It's funny how it's like, okay, they've got the 8th grade sewed up, we've got 7th grade sewed up. So once they start getting in sophomore and junior years, all those good players start coming on the same field together. Yep. And the programs are good.
And look, let's credit a lot of that too is just, again, going back to our community and how small it is. But we're the fastest growing county in the state.
Right.
So you're getting a lot of the younger kids, because look, none of us get a bunch of transfer seniors to come in and play. No. That just doesn't happen like some of these other schools. And I know that we aren't going out and recruiting.
Well, if anything else, Rockwall, it's gone the other direction.
Yes.
Right? The number of kids, that have left.
Yeah.
You look at, the youngest Orgy brother, right? He's out there playing backup quarterback in Michigan right now.
Yeah.
Right? He was a very talented kid that couldn't, I don't want to say couldn't, but Braden was the quarterback.
Well,
right. So what else could he have done?
Well,
right.
And that's
it's going the opposite way.
And that's a great point. It kind of comes into the recruiting too. Sometimes the depth is so deep with Rockwall and Heath, especially since we've been covering the past couple of years. That it's almost like that they're missing their time. They're not being able to be seen. You look at behind Lake Bennett with Marshall and with Locke. those are kids that need to be on the field. And so, you know, that would be my only worry, which would probably be a benefit to a school like Royce City, is like, well, if I can't play here, where can I play, right? Yeah. But the other part of it, though, and I think why there's so much loyalty, is the community here and the love for, you know, these kids grow up Yellow Jackets, and when it's their time, they want to be part of Yellow Jacket Nation. Right. They want to be part of Hawk Nation, right? Yep. And I'm sure it's the same thing, you know, with Royce City.
We're getting there.
Yeah. So, but
you know.
Yeah.
Well,
so
I mean, you guys, I can still remember when Royce City was 3A. When my son was in Commerce playing, you guys were in our district in 3A.
Yeah.
When it was, what I guess they call it 4A now, but you guys have set the tone because you're still a small school. But you've got all those kids, and they probably go out there and they learn Royce City football from 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th grade.
Sure.
Mm-hmm. Which is what Coach Harrell's done now. Coach Harrell went out and got with all these Hawk people, all these Hawk coaches. That's what they're going to run. You're going to play for Heath Hawks. You're going to run our offense. And that way, when you get up there, that's how South Lake Carroll did it.
Yeah.
South Lake Carroll became a dynasty,
well, you almost,
not because of all the kids there, because they started in the 2nd and 3rd grade.
Yep.
And by the time they become juniors, they knew what was going to happen.
And you almost have to do
Exactly.
it that way because of your growing, and the competition, man, is on another level.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What I love about you talk about that too is, again, I go back to the kids and the camp, and it's what I love seeing is, you know, I take my, you know, 3rd grader out to the football camp, and it's Coach Brooks leading the football camp. You know, it's not like, oh, I've got my 7th grade, you know, football player coach out here. It's like, no, it's him. And those kids look up to him. They're like, wow, like I want to play for him.
Yep.
I want to play for him.
And you see that with Heath, and I'm sure you see that with Royce City. You know, if you're going to take a 4th grader out there, you don't want to see the 7th grade coach.
Yeah.
You want to see the guy that you see on the sidelines on
Yeah.
Friday night. You know,
Yeah.
he's the
You want
head
to see the
coach.
Nick Saban of Rockwall County.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And that's the great thing about our small county.
Yeah.
Is the people.
Yep.
You know, these folks come around here, and you talk about the competition. I mean, just look right now. You guys are going to experience it this year, but step aside the conversation for just a second. Go back to the baseball. Look at the competition in Rockwall County for baseball. You want to come find ball players? You go to Rockwall or you go to Rockwall Heath.
Right.
That's where they're at. I mean, state championship.
right.
2 years ago. Semis this year, you guys were up there. We had to play
Same
y'all
thing.
twice.
Yep,
I mean, I
yep.
saw more people at a baseball game last year than I've seen at football games.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's
So-
it's special, and it's
And
community.
it's a great
and,
community.
I want to close out on Rockwall really quickly before we move on to Royce City. Obviously, they improved to 3-0, and now they're going to go on the road to North Forney, who we've already mentioned. You know, they're a little bit better than we thought they would be. Any you know, your expectations for that game? I mean, it's North Forney. You feel like, you know, it's a team you beat.
Yeah,
Although
I mean, my expectations are for Rockwall to win every football game.
Right.
Right. It's just
You
what
have
it is.
to
I
be.
think it's possible. Right. And I think if what they can do, if they focus on themselves, right. And so I think it's focus on yourself, focus on what you do in this district, right. And we're getting prepared to play them, but we're also getting prepared to play teams that are really, really good coming up. So how do we focus on ourselves to get better at what we need to get better on?
Right.
And to your point, even if you know what we're going to do, that's okay. But we're really good at doing what we do.
Yeah.
And so if we come out and do what we do and focus on ourselves, we're going to be okay, and that's going to continue to increase us versus, okay, hey, what defense are they running? How do we change this? Let's change it up. No, let's just continue to get better, and I think they continue to get better.
Yeah.
As long as I've been watching them play, they get better,
Yeah.
and I think that's why it is.
Yeah, I think so. The Yellow Jackets improve to 3-0 in district, and they'll go on the road to North Forney. And, you know, Coach Brooks, I think their motto, you know, during the summer and leading up was climbing the mountain. So it's just another step.
Yep.
They'll look to take another step this Friday night and then move closer to a district championship. Well, I know they're not eyeing it, but, you know, we're starting to count the weeks
we're
down.
fans. We got to look at it,
We're
right?
starting-
Put pressure on number 2 and don't give up the long ball or put pressure on number 10 and don't give up the long ball to number 2. You'll do just fine.
Yeah. We're going to take a quick break, one last break. We'll come back. We'll talk a little bit of Royce City and then close out the show. Before I go, I just want to kind of, you know, a couple of personal things, some shout-outs. Obviously, we lost our puppy of 16-plus years, and our kids grew up with them. And that was my first time. Buster was his name, and that was my first time to ever have to do something like that. And that was it was
rough.
it'll make you not want to own a dog again, and we've still got 2, and they're younger. But anyway, shout out to Buster, who hopefully is having some fun in doggy heaven, and I wanted to mention that. And then the other, a really close friend of mine, a guy that I grew up with in high school, with best man at my wedding. Lost his mom this past week. So I just wanted to give a shout out to and let the Yoakleys know that we're thinking of them and that we love them, and we'll be with you this weekend. So just wanted to throw a couple of things out there and let them know that we're thinking about them. Okay, we're going to take a quick break. Like I said, when we come back, we're going to talk a little bit of Royce City football, and then we're going to close out the show. Appreciate all the support. We will be right back.
Shop The Rock at Rockwall Ford. Get rock bottom pricing on 500 new Fords, cars, trucks, SUVs. We got it all. Log online and get your rock bottom deals today. Visit us at I-30 exit 205.
Rockwallford.com. I'm a one. I'm a one. One. I'm a 1 to 1. I could never be you. Little me tools, no, I can't be fooled. Little me tools, no, I hate these dudes. I'm a 1 to 1. I could never be you. Anything you could do, I could do better. I can do better than you. Anything you could do, I could do better. I can do better than you. Drop my first single like, oh, he rap. You thought it was a drought, that's cap. I get the front and I get the back. Lil Uzi the facts, like that's a rack. Bought some new boots just to wear 'em out. Bought a new Beamer.
Take care of business.
We are back. We are live. We're here for our final segment. Ran a little long tonight, but we've had some good conversation. I appreciate Trey coming in first show, and hopefully he'll come by for more when he's in town, when he has time. I know you travel.
We'll see about that Eagles pick if that lets me get back on here. I don't know about this.
Yeah, no,
I
appreciate
have to be escorted out.
It's been good stuff. We appreciate all the comments that have and the shout outs that have been in the comment section. All right, let's move on to Royce City. Listen, we've kind of touched on it. The game they had against Rockwall. So some standouts obviously were Sam Mitchum in that game. I thought Weaver played really well. I thought both the Spring brothers played very well. I was on both sides, just kind of circling so I could get some the end zones. Make sure I get good camera stuff for touchdowns, and the Royce City was about as fired as I've seen a visiting team be throughout the entire game. They were there for 4 quarters, and they were going to play every bit of it. And when the whistle blew, when the game was over, that's when it was over for them. I thought, if you take some positives away from what happened, I think they come out of it and they say, we went toe-to-toe with the big dog in the district this year. And we have to feel really good about that. And if you break it down and you say there was about 3 or 4 possessions in that game that really changed it, I think you're that close to taking it down to a fourth quarter finish, one of those games that goes down to the final minutes. So I think Royce City has a lot of positives to look at. I think the bye came at a good time for them early on, and now they'll come back, and for their homecoming game this Friday. So just a reminder, we do a pregame show and a halftime show, and so this Friday we'll be doing that. It's a big one. It's a big night. The Hall of Fame game. Shout out to
Pink Out game.
And the Hall of Fame too, right?
Yep.
So shout out to Bobby Summers, who's the longtime PA guy. He does everything in Royce City. He announces junior high games. It doesn't matter. He's got a junior high named after him. So it'll be really cool to see him go through that. And then Coach Webb. Coach Webb is inducted to the Roy City Hall of Fame. So was there? I thought there was one more, but
there is. Yeah,
okay,
there's one more.
Yeah, and do you know off the top of your head?
Not off the top.
Okay,
of my
yeah.
head,
So it'll be a big night for the Bulldogs, and they'll try to get back on track against Mesquite. But just some final thoughts coming out of that Rockwall game. Some things that you saw coming out of it, and maybe you're around your son Harper. Is there? You just kind of the attitude and the feeling coming out of it.
Yeah. So first off, I'm not going to say we're going to get back on track because I don't think we ever got off track. Look, we always expect to win. But we also are realistic. Our goal going into Friday night was to see exactly where we are. That was our only goal in that game. And if we were able to come out on top, great. But we really wanted to see how we matched up against the biggest school in the district who has a record of success. And we came out and we gave it our best shot. We scored. We got some stops. We, more than anything, got a confidence booster.
Right.
And it sounds funny. You say, well, you lost 50-24. We did. However, we came out and we did what we wanted to do, which was score some points and not get blown out. And I wouldn't consider that a blowout for us. We didn't help ourselves on 3 plays. But we did get some key stops, and we got to Lake a couple of times. So we did some good things, and and again, Rockwall didn't surprise us. Like I said in the last segment, they did what we knew they were going to do. So really for us, it was a good game. It was a confidence booster for us. We didn't think about Rockwall after we got on the bus. That's the attitude, right?
Focus on yourself.
Focus on ourselves. So I'm gonna leave Rockwall at that. Kenny was, I believe, 61% passing. Sam had 15 carries, I think, for 150 yards. Jonah got in the end zone. Nicholas Weaver got in the end zone, which was great. We wanted to get him involved. He's a big, powerful guy. And we made a few personnel changes, moved some things around, tried some different stuff. So I call that game successful for us for other reasons than just winning.
Right.
So I think that's a good for us. Now, coming into this week, I think I've been hearing a lot of the key word execute. So I think exactly what you were talking about with North Forney. I think the goal for us this week is to go out. I don't know that you're going to see a bunch of fancy plays and a bunch of wrinkles and new things and all that and everything else. I think what you're going to see is you're going to see us come out and focus on what we do, minimizing penalties, getting positive yards, try to get our guys in and out and get some faces in there. And, we moved a couple guys up from the JV squad. Maybe they'll get some playing time this week. I don't know. We'll see. We are not at all taking Mesquite lightly, but if we go out and we focus and we do what we need to do, we should be okay. And so I think that's what you're going to see this week at Roy City. It's a big week, Hall of Fame game, pink out. The breast cancer, that's a huge deal, and it'll be recognized this Friday. And I know that the senior parents made a special video, and we'll see how that all plays out. But
yeah, I think and as much credit as we've given Horn, and we've talked about Horn. I mean, Horn beats Mesquite 24-16. Mesquite was in that game. I don't know exactly all what happened in that game, but if you just look at the score, if you just look at the box score, Mesquite is. I know they've got a head coach. There's a defensive coordinator at Cedar Hill. He comes over, and that was a team. That last year, I thought they were pretty good. I thought they could have made a run, and if things fell their way. But they've got some pride on that team. I know they're going to want to come out and really test Roy City.
Sure.
But hey, listen. If Roy City can execute and run the ball like I know they can, like everybody knows they can, they're just going to be a really hard team to beat. Roy City, their recipe is get ahead. They get it. You get a lead. Roy City gets a lead. Then the running game really is highlighted because then it's just like, it's just a
just slow the game down.
Yeah. And again, we've made some personnel changes. So, if we like to go fast. We are
Right.
not a slow-moving team. We like to get out there. We like to bust some heads, and we like to get in the end zone, and we like to do it early. But we've made some defensive changes, doing some things. We got some kids out there. Rob is still doing his thing. Justin Scott's doing his thing, and so we're getting some guys back that you haven't seen in a couple of weeks, maybe 3 weeks. So we're going to try to get them back involved and keep this thing rolling. This is one of those games that you got to go out there and you got to execute and you got to get the victory. This is a game you're supposed to win. You need to win it, right? This week and next week. And so we just need to go out and take care of business. We've got a healthy team. Everybody's ready to go. So and we've got some other kids that we're going to get involved. And we have to go out and just focus and take care of business. And if we do that, we're going to be fine. And then we move to Legacy, and then we match up with the big game. That'll be our biggest game. Will be senior night, second to the last game.
Yeah, we play Mesquite. Mesquite is not a bad team. They're a very well coached team. They've got some talent over there. We had a lot of stuff go our way that night. They've got a very, very shifty quarterback, and he does like to run the ball. They're fast. The receivers are very aggressive. Their secondary is very aggressive. So I think you guys are going to match up well with them. I think you'll be able to, with your running game, I think you'll be able to take them, especially if you like to go fast. Mesquite likes to make a lot of personnel changes. But they like to do it slow. So, as long as y'all can keep the pace going, I think you'll be fine. They are a good squad. I like their coach. I liked their coach last year. I thought he did a great job with them. But I don't see y'all having a problem with them. Yeah,
and again, we circled games at the beginning of the year. We talked about games that we think Royce City's going to need to win to get in. This was one of them.
Yes.
North Forney, Mesquite, right? And then the last one I think was
Legacy.
Mm-hmm. Those are the three. But, you look at it, 3-3 in this district is going to get you into the playoffs.
Yes.
And then it's a whole new ball game.
And it's a whole new ball game.
Then everybody.
Right.
Then you're 0-0.
Then you're in.
They got 4 games left. You win this first one against Mesquite, you got to win 1 of 3, and you're 3-3 in district, and and hopefully things. That's us looking forward.
And
right?
you talk about our running game, and we do have an excellent running game, but we need to get our passing game going too. Don't forget, we've already got a kid that's got multiple offers on the table in Roberson.
Yeah.
Right, and you've got Weaver, who's a junior, who's big and out there, and I talk to that kid every week, and just try to keep him excited and pumped up. Of course, he doesn't need me to do that. He's already doing it. But we're going to get a receiver back that's been out for a few weeks.
Is that the junior, or is he out for the year? The one that was
back.
Oh, he's back. Okay.
He's back.
I think, I was trying to look up his name. It's
Williams.
Watching him play early on in the year, I was like, wow, that kid's a difference maker. I don't think there's a big coincidence in the drop-off that you've seen in the offensive numbers, because the first weeks when he was in there, their offensive numbers were through the roof. Their offensive total yards was incredible. And with him gone, now with him back, because I was gonna ask that question. Are you concerned about the drop-off in the total offensive production for the Bulldogs? Because I think they're going to need to go back to that 550, 600-yard total offense a game.
Well, I think you're going to start seeing that come back with Williams coming back. And, Rockwall did a really good job last week of adjusting and making some changes. And again, I don't know the coach is thinking if we decided to pull back a little bit because we accomplished what we accomplished or not. I don't know the answer to that. But again, not taking anything away from Rockwall because they're such a good squad. But here we are, and like I said, we're going to play fast. I think this is a good week for our linebacking core. Those guys need to come out and they need to open it up, and let's get some pressure on Mesquite's quarterback. So I think looking at the schedule, man, it really is playing out well for us. Go to North Forney, you win, you feel good about yourself. Then you go up against Rockwall in the second game, which is good, because now you're going to see, are you really that good? Mm-hmm. And we went out there, and I think we are. Okay, now you got 2 games that are must-win games. You go out and you take care of business. Yep. Then you come down to the final 2. If you can win one of those 2, awesome. You know, that just
control your own destiny.
Control your own destiny. So, absolutely right. In the last 2 games, you're facing 2 of the best teams, 2 and 3 in the district, right? So, it lines up perfectly for us. But again, I think this game is not as much about Mesquite as it is about Royce City.
Yes.
And if we go out there and minimize the penalties and we just do what we need to do, if we can open up that passing game a little bit, I think we'll be okay. We'll do just fine.
I think you should be able to open up the passing game. I think you'll be fine.
Yeah, it'll be a fun one. It'll be a fun night, and
it'll be crowded.
Yeah, again, we do our pregame show. We'll probably try and start, because it's Hall of Fame. We'll probably start around 5:30, and then obviously the halftime. What I'm calling the best Texas high school football halftime show in the state.
I like it. I like it.
And so I don't know if Brandon Neighbors, if he's watching, I mean, his level of football and the B gaps and all these things, I was like, I wonder if we need to kind of just like maybe dumb it down a little bit, because even I didn't know where he was.
Well, you leave that up to me. He's the professor. I'm just. So.
Yeah, no, it was really fun. Yeah, you got anything else? Some final thoughts here?
No, I'm excited. Let's go out. Let's honor the Hall of Famers, and let's acknowledge and embrace and support all the breast cancer and cancer survivors, and let's handle business.
Yep.
And do what we got to do. Move on.
Yeah. I love what you said about being a confidence booster even in a loss.
Yep.
Right, you can. Right, what do you choose to focus on? Right, you hear sometimes coaches say, "Hey, we're throwing that tape out. Maybe throw the second half tape out. This is what we did good. This is, and you can." Right?
Well, we had to see where you're at, right? I mean, you can think you're as good as you are all day long, but until you get out there and you really see, and you're going up against elite teams, and Rockwall is an elite team.
Yes, they are.
And I don't think there's
100%.
anybody that'll say
100%.
that they're not. So to go out there and see them and get to compete on that level in that stadium, it was a good crowd.
It's a great atmosphere.
And a lot of the kids, that will be probably what they remember for the rest of their life, to be honest with you, because they've never played in a game that big before. And, there wasn't a lot of hype surrounding the game. There wasn't a big hype videos and all this other stuff going around. It was just – we needed to go out there, and the kids were super excited. And these seniors, to get to play in that game is really something special for them.
And I think that game, it's like we talked about before, I think that game is going to start being that third rivalry game.
Yes.
I think it's going to be. You were on the sidelines with me at the Rockwall Heath game. Your son was there.
Yeah.
And he'd never seen that many people at a high school football game.
Yeah.
I've never seen that many people at a high school football game.
Yeah,
So-
I think it's cool because now you've got a whole so my in-laws live in Royce City. They now they're like, oh,
Exactly.
and I'm a bulldog.
So-
let's go. Let's play some big boy football, right? It's cool.
What's going to start happening now is, there's going to be some of those years where y'all are getting at Rockwall and Rockwall Heath at your house.
Yeah.
So let's travel, and this little triangle, rivalry stuff is going to be amazing over the next few years.
We can make it
it's
really,
really cool.
really
a lot
fun.
of fun.
Really
It's gonna
fun.
be a lot of fun.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun.
And I think too, not to interrupt you.
Yeah.
Everybody respects each other.
Well, here's what I was going to make. I'm glad you made that point, because if you saw the interview that I did with Coach Brooks after that game, he was genuinely, like, he had some real respect, and he was very impressed. And then even just I like our off-camera interviews, because after the game he'll just sit there and he'll just start talking about stuff, and he was the respect that he had for Coach Petroff and what was going on over at Royce City was real, and obviously it showed on the football field, and the outcome, regardless of whatever it was 2 good teams on there, and I think obviously Rockwall being a playoff team, but I think this is a playoff caliber team. Yeah.
Well, they went out and gave it their best effort.
Yeah, the respect. It's just like we talked about after the Rockwall Heat game. We got whipped. That's bottom line. We got whipped. But there was a couple of bright spots, and I did notice one of the coaches stopped my son. Of course, it was my son, so I'm watching. One of the Rockwall coaches did stop him, pulled him out of the line, and told him what a great job he did. How impressed he was. Sure. You know what? You just beat your crosstown rivalry like a drum.
Yeah.
But you still have enough respect for the kids in the program to take it away and do that. And then, the Rockwall kids coming over afterwards. They could have just sat there and ran it up. They could have went to Whataburger and talked trash. But they came over, because after the game's over, you're still a bunch of 17-year-old kids that have grown up together. that have known each other all your life, and it was a football game.
Yeah. And, it was emotional. It was even emotional for me because my kid's a senior. So that is the one and only time that he will get to experience that, right? And a lot of these other kids. So, thank you to Rockwall because it was a very special night for these kids. No matter how you slice it or dice it, it was just an all-around good special night that helped the kids hopefully get to that next level.
I think it's a proving point. What we just talked about here, right? It's good kids. Good kids come from good parents, right? We got good people, and then what do good kids attract? They attract really good coaches,
right?
Right. Rockwall and I think Heath and Royce City come into it when you know that you've got kids that are coachable, that are well disciplined, that are going to show up on time, that you're not going to have to be answering questions because they're getting in trouble in school, right? Coaches want to come here. Right, and so it's just going to continue, I think, to breed better, and it starts with the caliber of kids that we have. And as somebody that has 3 kids that are about to start getting really involved in the Rockwall School District, I'm super pumped about it and what is in front of them.
Should be Rockwall is class. Yeah, they are. I love the rivalry we have. Football, baseball is unbelievable. But it's just the respect that they have for each other after the game, and during the game, and now you guys are coming up in here, and let me tell you right now, I think Royce City is going to do just fine in 6A football. I really do. I thought y'all were a great team last year, and when they said y'all were getting moved up, I had no qualms about it. Y'all will be just fine at 6A football.
Well, I appreciate it, and not just from and then looking at the political side of it. I believe we live in the best county in the state. I mean, there's no doubt about that. So,
and we have a flag to prove it.
We have a flag to prove it. So, we are very, and I've said this at the very beginning. We are very blessed and very fortunate to live, and with you, with the younger kid, your younger kids, we're done.
Yeah, we're done. This is it.
Yeah, this is it for us. But you've got so many years left, man. And I'm excited for you.
Yeah, me too. We're looking forward to it.
So, yeah.
Hey, get on the tunnel crew early and get you in the games.
I've joked around it. I need a role, right? But as I think in the upper section where I can yell and holler and not everybody hear me might be the time that my wife likes where I'm at right now. I don't want to get too involved.
Yeah, they will toss you out if you're out on the sidelines.
Yeah.
Believe me.
I had a friend of mine the other day who said he was scrolling through the game day, and he said he saw me on there. He goes, "Well, how'd you get that gig?" I said, "Man, the guy asked, and I volunteered." He said, "Man, you're everywhere."
Yeah, no, it's.
I said, "You know what? Yeah. Yes, sir." He goes, "Well, you know what? Good for you. Whatever you got to do to get your kid's name out there."
Hey, it's cool. It's a special time, special community, obviously. Have a good bye week. I know you take a breath and then it's a sprint to the finish line.
I don't know what to do with my hands though. I literally get up and go to work on Monday and you're all depressed. You're like, crap, it's 5 days.
Yep.
It'll be here before you know it. Yeah.
Wow, that's 2 weeks.
It'll be here before you know it. It'll be so good luck to all the teams out there. Shout out to the Rockwall girls golf team who won their match yesterday at Buffalo Creek. So shout out to them. He snuck it in. I'm just going to repeat it. Shout out to Whataburger. Let us know. We're here if you want to be a sponsor on this. We're here. Coca-Cola. I don't drink Coke. I don't stock it at home, but I will if you can come on out. I always put one right here during the show. So Coca-Cola. Let me know if you're available.
There's got to be a Coke rep out here somewhere.
Yeah, and then also this segment, Vice and Henley and attorneys and counselors at law. I really appreciate everything they do, and I need to change their logo, and actually because Scott is on there now. But we appreciate them. They're a big reason why we do a pregame and halftime show. Royce City, they're very involved with everything that we're doing on Royce City. So thank you to them. Thank you to everyone who watched. Trey, I hope you had fun.
We had a great time. This was fun. Enjoyed it.
Yeah,
nice to meet y'all.
We enjoyed it.
We appreciate all the input. James, we'll see you Friday night. That'll be here in super quick, a day and a half. For everyone else out there, thanks for all the comments. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for all the support. We will say goodnight, and we will see you on game day. And as always, Dak over Romo any day. Go Cowboys.
Go Bulldogs.
Go Hawks. Man, you like to